The Minister of Water and Sanitation earlier promised that the multi-billion rand Giyani bulk water project in Limpopo will be completed before the end of this year. The project began in 2010 at an initial budget allocation of 90 million rands, but 13 years later, the budget has ballooned, others saying to over 4 billion rands. The scheme was meant to be completed in 2017, but has over the years been marred by allegations of corruption and mismanagement. Joining us now to provide some clarity on the timeframes of the project is Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. Just in terms of context, you went to a couple of villages. At least it seems 3 of those villages you were able to access, except for one, which is Mahlanti, if I'm correct, could be pronouncing it wrong, where there was a protest that could have blocked you. And you're saying that is not related to water at all?
Yes, it was not at all related to water. In fact, they told us that, Minister, you are doing very well on water. We have water and we're happy. And our priority has shifted. It's no longer water, it's the road, this road that they want, on which they want a blacktop.
So let's come back to the water question then. You coming in 2021, you find a project that's already in place that should have finished by 2017. And this is to move water at least from Nandoni to Nsame. And you're sitting where you sit right now, that project is 100% complete, at least the 24 villages.
Yes, what has now been completed is the line 49.5%. No, 49.5 kilometers
yeah,
from Nandoni to Nsame.
Yeah.
In fact, originally, when government spoke about the Giyani project, that is what they were speaking about. That there needs to be a line, a bulk line that takes water from Nandoni up to Nsame. When we came in, there was no such. We started off by getting a pump, permanent pump. We even used a temporary one first and a permanent one. And then we started connecting the line right from Nandoni across the river, right up to the canal in Giyani. And then the canal takes water to Nsame Dam. That job, which was originally conceived as such, has long been completed. However, it was not going to get water to people in the villages. Yeah. Then we started to look at the treatment plant. And the treatment plant, we found there had been a treatment plant, additional treatment plant, new one, that had been commissioned, built and commissioned in 2014, which functioned for 3 months. And when we went to see it, it was dysfunctional, it had collapsed, it had cracks, it was badly built, such that it had to be decommissioned. We then went to the old treatment plant, which was functional at 15 megaliters, far lower than what would meet the demand of the 55 villages. Then we started refurbishing with Mopani, because it is their property. We assisted them. Now we have to increase productivity there to 30 megaliters. We are now at 21.5 megaliters, and we still have to move up. We, by the 15th of next month,
yes,
that is our agreement with the contractor, with Mopani, that work will have been completed. We went there, and we saw there's very little that needs to be done, and that period is reasonable. And in fact, they should finish before that. That is getting that plant to produce 30 megaliters per day. Now, that was not going to be the end. You then need to connect bulk lines, which were not there. new bulk lines to each of these villages. And that is being done. I went to these villages, DM Mahlobo went to the other villages, and DM Shabalala went to other villages. All in all, I think we went to about 12 villages in 1.5 days. Now, we collated our report. On average, the villages the bulk lines are at 62% to completion. And most of them will be completed by June this year. But others, of course, will go up to September. That is out of the 24. Now, one of them, Bambeni, where I went, it will supply 17 villages out of those 24, and it's at 62%. Now, if it all works according to plan, as we are saying, together with Mopane and the contractor, we should then have completed that line by the end of June this year.
Yeah.
And what it will mean, at the same time, we said because we are trailing behind, Mopane should, with our assistance, of course, do reticulation. And reticulation in these villages, in most of them, is at 65, 64, 63. In other words, it is almost at par with the bulk line. But in one of the villages, which is Ngove, there's Ngove 1, Ngove 2, Ngove 3, Ngove A and C are not yet complete. Ngove B is complete. If it were not because the lines are connected, we would be releasing water to the community. But we will have to wait for A and C, and then get the bulk. But the main issue is the bulk lines that are going there. In fact, I must say to you, there's no village, there's no area in South Africa that is as busy with reticulation to the extent of Giyani. There are 37 contractors on the ground. That's why almost every time you move 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, you find dust and mud. Either a trench or a tank, a big tank that is being elevated, or there's a trench, or there are pipes that are being laid, or there's a borehole that has just been completed, and so on. So there are various stages. We even went offline, off-road, got into bushes following pipes. And had it not been for the fact that the project is old and we're trailing behind, I would fully be saying I'm very happy with what is happening. And this is at a cost, just phase 1 alone of reticulation, at a cost of 1.3 billion. And there's no other village where we're doing reticulation to that kind of proportion. And phase 2 is coming with another 1.3 billion. And there's no other village where we are as busy as in Giyani. And so partially, I'm happy with what is happening, because no other time have we reached the level that we have now reached in terms of reticulating or working on reticulation for the people of Giyani.
Tonight in conversation with the Water and Sanitation Minister, Senzo Mchunu. Now, Minister, there are those who say they want to take you to court, and maybe be direct action essay, saying they want to take you to court because you keep making promises and keep shifting. For example, there's an understanding that you went with the president in December, made an undertaking that this particular project in Mopane, for example, would have been completed by March 2023. Now you're speaking of June. And when I'm hearing you, there are various aspects of this. There's a pipeline, there's reticulation, and each of them would have various timelines and various time frames. So just explain what is false or what is correct about their understanding of what you promised and where things are at the moment?
What we promised, we said the bulk line will have been completed. In other words, water from Nandoni would be flowing into the canal, into Nsami Dam. That's what we said. That's why we took the president to Nandoni in the first place, to say, President, here we are building we are installing a permanent pump. At the moment, we are using a temporal pump. And then we will connect, firstly, across the river, which was not there. And then we will tighten the pipes. We will then test them. We will then see if we have water flowing into Nsami Dam. And this is what we promised. This is what we have done, and it's complete. That is why today we never even got worried about going to the line again, which we've been doing before we brought in the president. Now, people don't understand us clearly. They just talk about water to the households without understanding what it takes and the various components. And I'm repeating that the component that we were talking about was the bulk line, and which has been completed in accordance with our undertaking. Now, what was not even in the scope was the refurbishment of the treatment plant, which I'm saying we are now doing. It is at 21.5 megaliters per day. It's going up to 30, and we're going to do that by the 15th of May. Now, on the promises, I can't not talk to Mopane as an implementing agent and not talk to the contractor and agree on a time frame. I can't leave things that are loose. Even if at the end of the day we may get disappointed when that day comes, which we're not working for.
Right.
But I write down. Now, contractor, what I'm saying, we are going to do this, we are going to finish. And we stick with that and we tell the public because we're transparent. We cannot do so. Now, let me move out of that. Let me go to the bulk lines that I spoke about earlier. These bulk lines to each of the villages, and we are saying 60, I think 56, 60, 62, and we're moving because every day there is progress. And then reticulation. Just to say one thing that it made us feel very good. It is that in some of the villages that I went to, for instance, and those that are going to come, like the one that I was talking about, reticulation has been done up to each and every household, even though water doesn't come out of the pumps of the taps as yet, but taps are now in each of those homes and waiting for the bulk line to be completed and then connect to the reticulation so that we don't start afresh and say, we're now reticulation because bulk lines have been completed. This is what we are doing. In the meantime,
are you not then victim of your own efficiency in a sense, if we want to put it that way, where you're putting a tap before the water comes in, and then people say, we've been sitting with this tap for 6 months and there's no water coming out there, which in a sense you would have failed to communicate to them that this is us working ahead of ourselves while we expect, of course, the reticulation process to follow.
No, we are explaining to them. For instance, each one of these villages where, because we have not completed bulk lines, we have put boreholes. In some there are 2, in others there are 4, and there's one that has 7 boreholes. Of course, we are saying now to Mopane, don't allow any one of these boreholes not to work even for a week. Once a borehole doesn't work, your councillors must report and you must attend. Your mayors, local mayors, must report, and then we attend to those so that we keep water flowing to people. But we are not. We are doing this deliberately so that we don't waste another time when we could have cut off and cut back time. And we felt that this thing doesn't clash. We even said, no, when you put bulk lines, those contractors, and by the way, there are 37 contractors on the ground, and there's no other village anywhere in the Republic where there are 37 contractors at the same time. Now, we said they would know what type of pipes we are using on the bulk line, such that when those are completed, they will know how to connect them and what size and so on. So could start reticulating so that we don't have trouble when we finish. We just connect water and it flows. And when we speak to people in their households, because we go to their households, they say, now, this is the first time I get a tap. I get a tap on my yard. And I believe government now that they couldn't go to this extent of putting a tap. In any way, I see trenches being dug. I see these big tanks that are being elevated in our neighborhood, which has never happened before. And we trust that government is going to allow water to come out of our taps, and we are happy about it. Of course, there are people who don't believe in this, and we say they have a right to do so because it has been time. That we can't deny. And so people now want water to come out, and then they will say, I now will believe government, and we're allowing them to do so, to hold on until we deliver water. In fact, to be honest with you, there is a village where we went, and it has an elevated tank. And we explained that this has just been connected because a treatment plant was completed on the other side of the road in December, and then they battled with connection with the ESCOM for some time, and that problem was resolved last week. And then water is flowing into the elevated tank, but it is still at a low level. And it will soon fill up, and then water will come out because there, the taps are already connected, but it is for the bulk line. But in the meantime, we will connect the borehole line. And then two people were very angry, and they said it's not true that water is coming out in these households. And I said, what is going to resolve problems? Because the contractors say water is coming out, and you are saying it's not. Let's walk. Let's not get to cars. Let's walk. We walked. The first home, water was not coming out. And I said, okay, fine. Where else is water? Where have you connected? And they said, this house next door, this side of the road. We opened the tap there, water came out. And then I said, okay, let us explain. Let the contractor explain why water is coming out this home across the road and not this home. And they said, no, that tank, which is elevated, is building up. Now, it has not filled up, but it has started releasing water to low-lying households. And the system is filling upwards. It's not filling from upper areas to lower areas. And they said, therefore, this household where water is coming out is lower than this one, and is picking up the system. And before that explanation was completed, Umama of that household where water was not coming out shouted on the other side, now water is coming out in my yard too. We all went there and water was coming out. This is what is happening practically. And we are then saying, we are happy to see this development, but we will be very happy when there is reliable, uninterrupted supply to people, clean water from the bulk line. That is what we are working for. This is what we're focusing on at the moment. And the project is too advanced for us to focus on the past. We are now firmly looking at where we are going. And where we are going, it is the majority of people, even in the hall, they said, no, this time around, we are pulling things together, and they will get what.
Now, Minister, now you're saying there are 37 contractors on the ground, but what's the report on Mopani and court battles with some other contractors that would have downed tools and not completed the work?
Yes, they battle. When we came on Monday morning, we couldn't get to, no, we got into Tsami, but there was a meeting. Firstly, they blocked, and then there were negotiations. It was the subcontractors who were saying the main contractor had not paid them. And that matter was resolved by us saying, okay, bring your invoices and all of that, let that be proved and cross-proved. And you, as main contractor, pay these people who have the money, and that matter was resolved. And then the other one was a blockade because people wanted a third road, which was promised somewhere in 2019 and has not been delivered. And they said, after all, Minister, we have water on that side that we're blocking. And they even said, we are using you. We want you to be angry. Go and talk to your colleague and say you couldn't get to oversight your projects. And we're telling you we're happy, we're getting water, but we want you to be angry and go back to your colleague and tell her and tell them that we want this road because it was promised by the then Deputy President in 2019. Now we had to, we've negotiated, we couldn't succeed, we went back, we went to other villages. And these are signs that are positive, that are in us, that we must pressurize ourselves. So there will be this and that between Mopan and their contractors, but we're saying, as soon as the problem arises, you must resolve it. Whether it is payment of contractors and workers, please manage that 10 days before the pay time or the pay day so that there is a flow of work without any interruption.
There is that blight of negativity as much as you are looking at the positive aspect of it, of the corruption investigations around these projects. One, that Giyani Park project, but also the Hammanskraal project. How far are those investigations?
And I may add that there is a new proclamation on war on leaks. The first one on Giyani, SIU is pursuing suspects and others have been arrested. And they are pursuing these claims up to the tune of 2 billion rand. That's what they've told us. They are at various levels with different individuals. We get reports from time to time. They are making progress. Had it been for us, they would have completed that, and we would want them to complete this investigation so that those who are responsible must be held responsible. On the other one, in Hammanskraal, of 280 or 290 million, which was meant for Royval, yes, SIU is on them, and the municipality themselves are also on the suspected culprits, and we're encouraging them, we're supporting them to go the full mile on eradicating corruption that has come to the fore. And then there is the other one, the recent proclamation on war on leaks, and we are saying we will support the SIU. They have been investigating this for some time, and now they sought the authority from the president to officially investigate, and we will support them on that. And we are saying all the support they need, and these investigations must be done, must be completed, must be publicized so that the public knows that government is serious about rooting out corruption.
Minister, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming.